Most things in life come with a label, a category, a predictable lane. This isn't one of them. The binge is what happens when curiosity doesn't sit still, when one question turns into 10, and suddenly you're deep into something you didn't even know you cared about 5 minutes ago. History, technology, current events, or something so oddly specific it borders on ridiculous. Doesn't matter. If it's interesting, we're going there. Welcome to The Binge.
It's the Binge Podcast where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast. Come join us fast.
All right. So today we're talking about something that feels harmless, routine, almost boring in how normal it is. Distraction. Not the big, dramatic kind, not the I quit my job and moved to the woods kind of life pivot. I'm talking about the quiet, constant fragmentation of your attention. The thing that happens in the background while you're doing everything else. The scroll, the ping, the just 1 second that turns into 10 minutes, then 30, then somehow your whole damn evening. And the dangerous part? It doesn't feel dangerous at all. It feels productive adjacent. Like you're still engaged with the world, still informed, still connected. You're not wasting time, you're just checking things. Except you're not checking anything. You're getting pulled apart. Because attention isn't infinite, it's not some bottomless resource you can slice into smaller and smaller pieces without consequence. It's a finite thing. And every time you switch tasks, every time your brain jumps tracks, you pay for it. Not immediately. That would be too obvious. No, the cost shows up in slower thinking, sloppier decisions, half-finished ideas that never quite land. You lose depth. You lose continuity. You lose the ability to stay with something long enough to actually understand it. And we've built an entire world that runs on that fragmentation. You ever try to sit down and focus on one thing, just one, and feel that itch? That low-level agitation like you're missing something? That's not an accident. That's conditioning. Your brain has been trained to expect interruption, to crave it even, because interruption comes with novelty, and novelty comes with that little chemical hit that keeps you coming back. It's not focus you're fighting, it's withdrawal. And like most things that seem small, it gets a lot uglier when you look at what happens when it goes wrong in the real world. Let's start with something that sounds almost trivial. July 2013, San Francisco, Asiana Airlines Flight 214, a Boeing 777 on final approach. Clear weather, experienced pilots. This isn't supposed to be a high-risk situation, but something's off. The plane comes in too low, too slow. The pilots are relying on automated systems that aren't behaving the way they think they are. There's confusion in the cockpit. Who's monitoring what? Who's actually flying the plane? What mode the autopilot is in? Attention gets split. Assumptions fill the gaps. By the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. The plane crashes short of the runway. 3 people die. Dozens are injured. Investigations pointed to a mix of factors. Automation confusion, training gaps. But one thread runs through it. Degraded situational awareness. Attention scattered just enough that no one fully grasped the problem in time. Not because they weren't capable, because their focus fractured at the wrong moment. Now zoom out. April 10th, 2010. Deepwater Horizon oil rig, Gulf of Mexico. A high-pressure environment. Literally and figuratively. Complex systems. Multiple teams. A lot of moving parts that all have to line up correctly. Except they don't. Warning signs show up, pressure readings that don't make sense, test results that should raise alarms, but they're misread, misinterpreted, in some cases, outright dismissed. Why? Because people are juggling too much. Multiple tasks, multiple streams of information, conflicting priorities, attention gets diluted, signals get lost in the noise, and then the well blows out. Explosion, fire, 11 workers dead, millions of barrels of oil spilled into the ocean. Again, not one massive, obvious failure, a series of smaller ones, missed cues, split attention, decisions made without fully processing what was right in front of them. That's how this works. It's not about being stupid, it's about being overloaded. Now bring it down to something simpler, something that happens every day. Texting and driving. Yeah, you've heard it 1,000 times. It's practically background noise at this point. Don't text and drive. Sure, of course, everyone agrees. And then they do it anyway, because it doesn't feel dangerous. You glance down for a second, maybe two. You tell yourself you're still in control, still aware. You've done this before. But here's the reality. At highway speeds, looking at your phone for 5 seconds is like driving the length of a football field blind. 5 seconds, that's it. There are names attached to this too, plenty of them. In 2016, a truck driver named Thomas Croker was using his phone while driving on a highway in the UK. He failed to notice traffic slowing ahead, plowed into a line of cars, 4 people dead. Not because he intended to harm, not because he was reckless in the cinematic sense, but because his attention was somewhere else. That's the thing about distraction. It doesn't feel like absence, it feels like multitasking, like you're handling more than one thing at once. You're not. You're switching, rapidly, imperfectly, and every switch comes at a cost. And most of the time, that cost is small enough that you get away with it. You miss a detail, you send a sloppy email, you forget something minor, life goes on. So your brain learns the wrong lesson. It learns that this is fine. That you can keep splitting your attention, keep bouncing between tasks, keep living in this constant state of partial focus, and nothing bad will happen. Until it does. And by then, there's no rewind. But even when it doesn't turn catastrophic, there's a quieter damage happening all the time. You lose the ability to go deep, to sit with something complicated and actually wrestle it to the ground, to think in full, uninterrupted chains instead of fragments, to be fully present in a conversation instead of half listening while your brain drifts somewhere else. Everything becomes surface level, and the worst part, it starts to feel normal. You start to believe that this is just how your brain works now, that focus is something that you used to have maybe, but not anymore. Too much going on, too many demands. This is just the way things are. But it's not. It's the result of 1,000 tiny interruptions stacking up over time. And the system that feeds those interruptions, it's not neutral. It's designed, refined, optimized to capture and hold your attention for as long as possible. Which means you're not just fighting habit, you're fighting an entire ecosystem that benefits from you being distracted. So yeah, this started with distraction, but it's not really about distraction. It's about control, about who or what gets to decide where your attention goes, about whether you're actually choosing what to focus on or just reacting to whatever pops up next. Because attention is leverage. It determines what you notice, what you think about, what you understand, and ultimately, the decisions you make. And if that leverage is constantly slipping out of your hands, you're not as in control as you think you are. Anyway, that's what's been rattling around today. Maybe close a few tabs, ignore a notification or two, sit with one thing longer than feels comfortable, or don't, and see how scattered everything starts to feel when you never really lock in on anything at all. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe.
You know by now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. By now, got stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, We laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast. Tune in right now, stories to tell, from the small to the grand, all under one spell. We talk about this, we laugh about that, from the strange to the bliss. Get ready to chat. It's the Binge Podcast, where everything's a blast. It's the Binge Podcast, come join us fast.